Welcome to Stock Shots. Tonight is Wednesday night, January the 14th, 2009. I've got to admit, I was very shocked at what happened in the markets today, and more than that, I'm very fearful of what today means in the grand scheme of things. I spend a lot of time going around to blogs and seeing what traders think, listening to every trader that I can possibly listen to, and going into this morning, I really felt like, given the fact that about this time last night, at about 11 o'clock Central Time, the futures were up, people were expecting a gap up, and we didn't get it. And we seem to be headed more and more into the deflationary spiral. And the currency is yet to fall. I can't see how the U.S. dollar is as strong as it is at this point. I have been short the dollar for a while now, and quite honestly, I'm still upside down in the position. I cannot fathom how the United States dollar can be stronger, and I've heard the excuse over and over again, well, it's better than the rest. It's better than the Eurozone because our economic future looks brighter than theirs. Maybe over the short term, they've turned in some worse numbers than we have. But I certainly can't see, given the fact that it appears that we're about to release the second part of the $350 billion in TARP money, and we're about to expend another $1 trillion in a stimulus. I absolutely cannot fathom why the U.S. dollar is holding up as it is, and I do not buy the better than the rest argument over anything more than a very, very short term. I get a lot of emails from people, and I was asked over and over today, did the game change? Is the market headed lower? And I've got to tell you, unless we see some kind of trend that would bring oil back up, I think the markets are headed much lower. I wrote in my blog tonight about how oftentimes commodities and the equities trade inversely. As commodities go up, you would expect margins to be squeezed on companies, so therefore equities fall. We're in a state of virtual panic in the markets, and now I think it will be over the next 3 to 4 months a situation where the commodities and the equities are going to trade in tandem. So I think oil needs to rally to see the equities rally, and I really don't see that. I mean, oil started out stronger in the aftermarket, but by the time the overseas and the Asian markets opened up, oil was beginning to fall. Natural gas has been obliterated, and a lot of the talking heads on TV now are suggesting that you short gold. So all of the correlations that you would typically follow seem to be in a state of disconnect. And we've talked to people like Jim Rogers, who say the U.S. dollar is in for the demise, and the economic situation is going to be very dire in the United States. Peter Schiff has also been on our show. He has predicted an economic collapse for the U.S., and I've never been much of a conspiracy theorist, but when you look at what's going on, I honestly believe that through some of the bailouts, handouts, whatever you want to call it, I do believe that the American government has been buying dollars. I think they did that as a defensive move. You prop up the dollar, it stopped the speculation in oil, started to bring things down, and I just can't see that being able to continue. But that is my suggestion as to why the dollar is as strong as it is at this point. I think the U.S. government must be propping it up, and I'm not so sure that we've not sold some gold, because I can't fathom why gold would not be going up. We're going to have economist John Williams from shadowstats.com back on our show next week, and if you're new to the show, we encourage viewer participation. You can go to www.stockshots.tv and fill out the contact form and submit any question that you would like to ask John, and within reason, we will ask those questions of John. John has basically predicted a hyperinflationary depression, and John is a very sharp individual who backs up his assumptions with very detailed figures, and he makes a very compelling case I've had a lot of you email me in and say, hey, Williams has been wrong over the course of time about this and this. So I plan to ask John, as far as the hyperinflation scenario and getting into a super high rate of unemployment, exactly what his timetable is, and ask him to delineate that for us so we can put some of those arguments to rest. Now, I've had some of you go on the contact form and fill it out and ask me the question, if you believe Peter Schiff, if you believe John Williams, why do you interview individuals who you know have a bullish outlook on the market? And the answer is quite simply this. We talk to a lot of very smart traders on both sides of the market, and honestly, think about what the markets consist of. There are two sides to every trade. So we're talking to some really smart individuals. If you don't agree with their theory, that's fine, but try to listen and learn from what they have to say, because as long as there are people out there buying into any theory, then some money will flow into that theory. I personally believe we are in for the rockiest point in my lifetime. I think we have mortgaged our kids' future, and I think that is going to come home to roost a lot quicker than a lot of people think. The goal of our show is to get out there and seek the truth, stay one step ahead of the curve, talk to everybody that we can possibly talk to, and assimilate what we think will happen based on the views that we hear from our guests. So if there's somebody out there that you would like to have us interview, please fill out the contact form and drop the name. We'll do our best to get that individual on the show. We have been in contact with Jim Rogers. We expect to produce another show with Jim within the week. We've got John Williams next Tuesday night. So we've got a great lineup for you. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you for all of those of you that have subscribed to our YouTube channel. It's very important that we continue to get subscribers because as we go to people, one of the people that we would really like to have on this show is Steve Forbes. One of the first questions that they ask are, how big is your viewer base? And thanks to all of you that have subscribed, and thanks to those of you that have subscribed to the RSS feed on our blog, we're obviously one of the fastest growing shows on the internet. We're going to get better and better. You won't hear a lot of these type shows where I just get out here and ramble, but we think that we're going to have a great lineup of guests for you. Please send everybody that you can to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is how we intend to continue to bring you high-profile guests and get your questions to those guests. We don't have the mainstream media format where you have 4 or 5 guests arguing a point. We ask our guests to come on our show, give us 15 minutes, let us visit with that guest one-on-one, ask some challenging questions, and have them present their case in a 15-minute format. We think that is a much better format for our viewers to become informed, and that is the format that we intend to stick with. So please, if you haven't, hit that subscribe button. Send us your suggestions. Send us your questions. We want to make this show as much about our viewers as possible, so we do appreciate your participation. Thank you for listening.